Good afternoon, AcadArena and the Philippines. You are now watching the second season of the Republic of Gamers University Alliance Cup. My name is OSX, and with me is the legendary Neep to give you the action of today's matches.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great to be back, OSX. There's got a lot in store for us today. We've got a lot of great matches, and I'm just, in general, really excited to see the start of the Republic of Gamers University Alliance Cup Season 2 Wild
Yes.
Rift. You know, it's like taking what we love, League of Legends, and then combining that with that accessibility of mobile. And, I think that's going to lead to a pretty interesting season. I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole tournament that we have in store for us? Like, how are you feeling that today?
Well, for this, I am sensing one heated clashes coming in from the collegiate squads in the Philippines. Having to get that title of becoming the best in the country, it's 100,000 pesos prize pool and the right to call themselves the best of the best. But for today, we'll begin with week one and day one this time. But as you can see, all of the squads are already lined up to get to have a touch of these awesome experiences coming in from different schools in the country.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see the schedule on our screens right now. We've got a
Yes.
lot of exciting matches. We've got a classic rivalry between the Teletigers and iTamaraws, the battle of the Pitan, that area. It's going to be pretty exciting to see who comes out on top. And not
Yes.
only is it a regional rivalry, this is a rivalry that's been a part of that AcadArena experience since last year. These guys, they've been fighting throughout across a wide variety of titles, and now we're gonna see them again as our featured match of the day. It's coming to you guys like really soon, so it's gonna be pretty exciting to see that. And of course, since we're just at day one, no standings yet, but I think this is a good opportunity to sort of explain the format that we have in store
Yes.
for this tournament. So we are rocking a best of two format, which means that every single game, every single match between two teams, we'll get to see two games each, so double the action, and we'll have a point system as well on top of that. So you win two games against your opponent, you get 3 points. You go 1-1 against your opponent, you each get 1 point. And if you unfortunately end up not winning at all, you end up with 0 points. So it puts a lot of pressure on the teams to actually go for that 2-0. And yeah, it's gonna be interested to see how that's gonna go.
Right. And as we witness and see for our first match, as they say and know, this is the battle for España. Both friendly neighbors in game and outside. This is FIT and UST having a good long history of friendship and physical neighbors and regional rivals. But in Wild Rift, there's a lot of things can brew up and happen. But since this is one of the rising games in the country, since this all started with the League of Legends, all of these squads have the chance to show off their potential and as well as competitive plays. But before we get to that, we can start by getting to know them deeper with our interrogation. That's a hashtag ROG in the middle. So let's look into the thoughts of these players coming in from the UAC Wild Rift. Brought to you by ASUS ROG, the official smartphone of the UAC.
It's perfect.
It feels na parang nakakakaba siya tapos nakaka-excite. Kasi nga, kami yung pinakaunang Wild Rift team sa Teletigers and parang kami yung magiging benchmark ng mga susunod na Teletigers Wild Rift team.
It feels good kasi yung iba kong kasama ngayon sa team na nakasama ko na dati sa LPC.
Sa mga supporters ko dyan, abangan nyo lang ako sa Baron Lane, dudurog ako. De, joke lang.
To our supporters, kung meron man, please keep supporting.
Yes, it's all about the thoughts and getting into the mindset of all of those players. As you've mentioned, Neep, you've experienced the pro scene. And I think it all boils down on how you are psychologically fit to have your thoughts and inside of the game. Because it's a different setting once you're in a different gameplay and match setup, right?
Yeah, like the atmosphere is completely different. While we don't have that stage, that we would have in a traditional non-pandemic environment, the pressure is still there to perform. The pressure is still there to be at the top of your game because not only are you representing yourself, you're representing your team, you're representing your organization, you're representing your school, and that's a lot of pressure that adds up, you know. You really have to perform to not really disappoint, not really let anyone down. And if you guys want to show your school support, you guys can check out our command in the Twitch chat, or if you're on Facebook, that's gonna be !vote. You know, put your votes down. You know, add a shout out. Let's get that school support in, guys. And again, this tournament is Alliance exclusive. So if you want to bring esports to your school, the AcadArena Alliance program is here for you. You know, Alliance member clubs get access to our exclusive tournaments, the University Alliance Cup, mentorship opportunities, event support, and of course the Globe Esports Merit Scholarship. So learn how to join the Alliance today at AcadArena/Alliance. You know, so these guys, they're playing for that scholarship as well. And it looks like we're gonna kick off already the pick and ban phase. So we do see Akali being hovered over. That is a pretty standard ban. She is a very oppressive top Baron laner and mid laner, and I think UST, they just want to get rid of that immediately.
Yes, the control of Akali in the mid. Looking at this first priority ban of in the side of Teletigers, they don't want a another annoying champion to get in the response of in terms of early ganking. Akali is one of still the best assassins and coming in from a support range or a mage mid champion pick. But for the second one, I think we're gonna go for Diana as well for in the side of iTamaraws.
Yeah, so Diana is a really great initiator. Her ultimate can be devastating if used correctly. And what's interesting here is, whoa, you see the Garen ban and the Darius ban.
Ooh.
So this does kind of telegraph that UST do want to play Fiora. But let's see if they'll give it to them. And we do see that UST is on blue side, and there are a lot of strong picks available right now. Camille, a Camille is one of those options. Other strong champions that are still available are things like the Gragas, like the Ziggs, you know, even like the Braum and Kaisa. Those are options that they can go for. But it looks like FIT is going to adopt the strategy of just securing that bot lane, you know, trying to go for their preferred combination of Dragon lane and support, and kind of force the Teletigers to take what's left over.
Right, and for the first ban, you have taken out Garen, one of still the S plus champion tiers in our patch 2.2. And for the second pick of our Teletigers, you're going in for Jarvan 4. And looking at this first two priority picks coming from these two squads, from the side of this is iTamaraws, you have Ezreal as well as Braum, mostly going for the control of the global response and as well as initiating fights as well.
Yeah.
And for the third pick, I think we're going for Gragas for iTamaraws.
So these are all the strong picks I was mentioning that were still left in the pool. The Ziggs being taken up by UST Teletigers, and now the Gragas. And I actually think it'd be a pretty good opportunity to take Fiora by either of these teams. It's actually surprising that they haven't yet, just due to how oppressive Fiora is. Like, they've already banned the Darius. They've already banned the Garen. There isn't really much left in that champion pool that can really address that, you know?
And for this, on the side of Teletigers, you're going for Janna, which is a probable counter maybe for Gragas as well, because they don't want to have that. You want to have a set that can totally have a disengage in terms of early ganks and as well as response. But as you've mentioned, for the fourth pick of iTamaraws, you're going for Fiora. Fifth pick, rather.
Okay, yeah, so it looks like this will be the Fiora in the Baron lane, and it's going to be pretty much a pretty intense skill matchup between Kaiser and Al in that Baron lane matchup. And, you know, I think we kind of do have these champions locked in now. You know, the positions of these do seem to be pretty standard. I don't think we're going to be seeing anything funky going on, like no Wukong mid or anything like that. That's probably going to be the Wukong jungle, Gragas mid, and then it looks pretty standard overall. You know, nothing too fancy here for these two teams.
Nothing fancy, but only one needs to take the first score. Now, to set the momentum and pace, they might need to get some early advance, either from Teletigers or from iTamaraws. It's going to be representing all of their universities, from UST and for FEU. But guys, before we head into the game, this won't be possible without our partners for the tournament, which is Republic of Gamers, which is the ROG 5. So powered by the reigning king of gaming smartphones, the ROG 5 is the best one for you. With the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 and 144 Hz plus AMOLED display and a massive 6000 mAh battery to take your game experience to the next level. I believe you're gonna need this in getting into the power with Wild Rift. Right, Neep?
Yeah, for sure. And I think they can check it out at rog.acadArena.com if they want to find out more. So, it looks like we do have our picks already set up. The players, they're just setting up, loading onto the Rift. And we
Yes.
do have our pick'em result right now. So that's a pretty close vote, 53% to 47. These teams, the support from both of these communities coming in hot.
And looking at these votes, okay, we might fall in the right prediction or in a different. Either one of us gets correct, but on
Yeah.
this lineup, everybody's trying to get a counter for each champion. You got Camille probably going on top, and you have Gragas as well to have their disengage. And for the control and response, they're still on point with their counters. But as you can see, there's no monkey business, and as well as there is no possible way of probably use of the metas right now. In the current patch, there's a lot of changes in patch 2.2C, which is we have the nerf Braum, Diana, Evelyn, Kaisa, Lee Sin, and Lux, and not to mention the passive gold has been nerfed as well, Neep, and also we have Fizz, Jax, Lulu, Pantheon, and Twisted Fate for the buff champions this time around in patch 2.2C, which is kind of in the verge of using in this kind of week one and day one. But let's see how will they pull this off.
Yeah, let's definitely see how we're gonna pull this off. If I take a look at the team compositions that we have,
Mhm. Mhm.
both of these teams have a pretty clear identity of how they want to play their matches. For example, on that UST side, they've got a really strong team fight oriented team composition where they have that Jarvan who can lock everyone in. The Ziggs ultimate does follow up, and then you've
Mhm.
got that Corky package that can be really devastating. When the team is clumped up, fighting that Rift Herald, fighting that first Drake. And as for the FIT side, they've gotten for a more disengaged centric team comp and kind of relying on having Fiora apply pressure on the other side of the map with that
Mhm.
split push, with that lane dominance, while the Braum, the Ezreal, and the Gragas can sort of just poke out the enemy team in that 4v4 environment. So it's a battle of ideologies as to how the game should be played, a battle of team compositions,
Right.
and it's really just going to boil down to execution because both of these teams, they don't really know anything about each other either. They don't have
Right.
anything to go on when it comes to preparing for this match beforehand. While some of these players are familiar, I'm sure some of you guys recognize Ao and Yato and
Mhm.
Niel, from the League of Legends side of things with our national campus open. A lot of that's about it. And League of Legends PC, frankly, is just a way different game. There's a lot that you have to adjust. A lot of those strategies aren't really
Mhm.
applicable when you
Mhm.
take it to mobile, when you take it to that smaller map and that faster paced tempo. And we'll see how these low PC veterans adapt to the Wild Rift.
Yes, and for the story of the Battle of Turf War this time, and as you've mentioned that there's different and it's a different gameplay rather in using current metas from League of Legends and to Wild Rift. On the same setup, the runes are different, the spells are different, and as well as there are a lot of spells and skills that has been tweaked down in a mobile setup. So I think it's, as you mentioned, ideology and as well as how will they compose themselves in executing different kinds of metas in the mobile version. But as they want to disrupt this with having control and disengages from these unique picks of our first game, this might be their chance to show off some another potential use of metas and as well as champions that they can actually use for the further games. But this is still our group stage, and there will be a chance that they might rise up to the challenges of today's battles.
Yeah, that's true. And I think for me personally, my eyes
Yeah.
are actually on this mid lane,
Mm-hmm.
Yato versus Lazuli. Um, Yato, he's quite an iconic player within that AcadArena
Oh
tournament
yes.
ecosystem. And
Mm-hmm.
fun fact about him, he's actually challenger as well. I think he's
Oh.
one of the few challenger players in the University Alliance Cup Wild Rift. So he's definitely a player to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm.
Something, and we'll see how oppressive he is with his Gragas. If he's able to go for those assassination combos, if he's able to, disrupt the flow of the team fight with a well-timed explosive cast. We'll really just have to see. Like, my eyes are personally just on him and seeing how he performs today.
Right. And looking at this control heroes from or support Niel and as well as on the side of Jana. Mostly they will need this on the early stages of a game if ever we have J4 coming in for different kinds of surprises from coming in from the jungle, and as well as having a unique diversion in taking of objectives. And for the take of Yato, as well as you've mentioned, one of the icons in coming in from the PC setup, there might be a chance of having them utilize the proper way of doing executions in using Gragas. One of the best champions right here to have your game out of play. You like one scattered egg in terms of having a perfect setup. But if you're in a pit with the perfect execution of the catalyst from Chaos, they might be a different setup once you get in, also with the Hextech Ultimatum as well, to get into another power play. But how will they do this will all boil down in the timing of using their skills.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna really come boil down to, ultimately which team is better at
Mhm.
team fighting, which team has that synergy, that bond,
Mhm.
that between
Right,
the
the
players to
bond.
kind of understand when to go in, when is it appropriate to just back out. And I think a lot of this as well, a lot of this game, it's going to be defined by how those first 4 minutes go, how these teams prepare for that
Mhm.
first dragon fight, how these teams prepare to establish themselves for the remainder of the game. So, will we be seeing an aggressive Rift Herald play? Like all four players collapsing on
Oh
that Rift
yes.
Herald? Will we be seeing, maybe a cheeky level 1 strategy
Mm.
where they invade aggressively to try to deny the objective from the jungler? Because a lot of this, the first 4 minutes is just about putting your team at an advantage, burning the enemy team's summoner spells, taking objectives away, stealing buffs away, so that when it comes to that 4-minute dragon, you're ready. You have the items, you have your first big item, you have that Triforce, you have your barrier and flash up, and it looks like we're eventually gonna head into the game soon. It looks like we're taking a look at the players, and we see the aesthetic is clearly different. One team rocking that suit, the other guy going for a more casual get up with that hoodie and with that shirt.
Yes,
And
and as we go into our first battle of the day, let's give a shout out to our partners and sponsors who have made this event possible. And of course, thank you to Globe, our official telco sponsor, and as well as Logitech G. So shout out to our partners out there. So if you're looking to supercharge your gaming setup and you can keep playing, check out Logitech's amazing gaming gear at logitech.acadArena.com, and you can get a chance to get a discount of 175 pesos with a minimum purchase of 107.50 on any Logitech G products.
yeah, so Logitech, I've heard some pretty exciting prizes for the winners of this University Alliance Cup. So it'll be pretty exciting to see who ends up
Yes.
getting the prizes from Logitech. But it looks like we did have a bit of a technical issue, and we are starting the game roughly 5 minutes in. So it looks like the first dragon had already been taken by Teletigers. But if we take a look at the gold, they were actually able to adopt that strategy from Fiora. They got the first tower, and they were even able to get the kills on top of that. So it's both teams playing their strategies out the way that should be played. Teletigers contesting those objectives, playing around that strength, and the iTamaraws using that Fiora to go for that cross-map advantage with that first tower.
Right. And this for our technical glitch, guys. So we have a recap on this. So currently our champions are building up some early game items, but for Corky, he has already tried for it as well as Fiora. So for our guys up here, they're trying to have maybe taken this Rift Herald as you've mentioned. And for the score of 1-2, the goal advance not that quite far yet. And this might be their chance of taking more objectives as well. But they're trying to do this. Niel, on the other, is getting in the side of while doing this in the catalyst in the zone, making that glacial fissure in. Now they're trying to make an advance of taking those another kills there while they're trying to secure off that Rift Herald. This time around, Neep, they might try to secure this objective.
Yeah, and it looks like, again, it goes back to the strategy that FIT iTamaraws have adapted. They know they're in no position to fight 4v5, actually 3v5. Given that their team comp is quite the disengaged comp, so instead they sent Fiora to just keep on pushing that bot lane. That tower is already down to half HP, and it looks like it's gonna be the Teletigers with that Rift Herald. So even though they are down in gold, they have been slowly accumulating these objectives.
Right. And as they want to have it settled, they're trying to have settled objectives in stealing these buffs. Look at them in the mid lane. They're trying to have some sort of strategy that they can make it through these gold advances that they have made through our game. So we have O, and for the item check, since we have already passed 7 minutes, guys, they might be building another way to counter with one another. Look at the points, Neat. They're not far from one. We're not far from one another. It's 2-2, and the current build items of these squads has already been settled in a different way. So for you have Gragas tried maybe to build a the Infinity Orb possibly in the first round of his waves, but as he tries to make it through their gold mark, they might probably see a potential of take another gank, but they're trying to have it, or maybe they're trying to play it safe this time in our first game.
Yeah, that's definitely the case here. And something else to point out is if we take a look at where that gold is being distributed, it's actually the gold from the Baron laners. That's where the huge disparity comes from on this iTamaraws side. If we take a look at Fiora, she has 2,000 gold ahead of this Camille. So she's really been the one setting that tempo, putting that pressure on that enemy team. And that's kind of the win condition for this iTamaraws team. They need to respect that Fiora. They need to find a way to deal with it, or else they're gonna have a problem as, you know, the iTamaraws sort of just runs them over. But Teletigers, they've been doing a good job of sticking to their game plan. They use that Rift Herald to get that objective, get that priority over the Dragon, and now they can start this Dragon 4v4 with that package already up by the by the Corki.
Yeah, they're trying to brew it up inside the Dragon Pit as they wait for the proper chance this time. And well, they secured that breaking down of the first tower in the bottom lane. They might probably take this objective while Chaos is trying to move and see what is the possible take and using this ultimate build trying to get. Don't forget, Yato is there trying to wait in for the bouncer. There goes the knockup, and they finally make it in the smoke. Oh, they're the catalyst and trying to break it down by stealing another enemy and taking down Brom as well. Yato on the other hand is still alive, and they try to take it in with iTamaraws representing FEU. Takes it for another sweep of kills, and that's 5-3, guys, and that was another risky move in the side of Teletigers.
Yeah, and let's take a look at that replay because so much happened in that fight. I do have to start with a great teleport by Al, and Yato, I think his explosive class was absolutely game-changing there. He disrupted the positioning of the Tiger squad, and they weren't able to do anything, resulting in a free Dragon for Orphic to just smite away. And that actually puts iTamaraws now at a 4,000, 3,000 gold lead, taking that mid lane turret, taking that Dragon, and the Fiora is just becoming a lot more scarier as that gold disparity between the Camille, between the Fiora now increases to 3,000.
Right, and this adds up to her ultimate that will keep on stacking in terms of true damage. And looking at this point, they're probably building a wave of possible mid to late game strategy, but for the take of that Drake, that settles up for another tied advantage, but they might be trying to settle for another advances in terms of getting some sneak ganks in. But for this, they might probably go for the Baron, but it might be too soon. But they might still stand the chance in maintaining their kills and as well as pushing their turrets with their minion waves.
Yeah, so I think for Teletigers, the game definitely isn't, like, they're not out of it yet, you know. There's a 4,000 gold lead for iTamaraws, sure, but they're still in a position to win. You know, they can still easily make a comeback. They can still easily win these team fights because they do have that explosive team fighting potential with the Ziggs, with that Jarvan, and with that Camille. You know, it's just a matter of finding that opportunity. And we take a look at Owl. You know,
Oh, again, for another one, Hex Tech with the last hit. That's going to be not enough to get that kill, but maybe for that escape from that. It's going to be,
oh, that was so
two-shot
close.
barrage right there in the perfect hook timing, man. If he wasn't that shot, that was totally a kill in the side of iTamaraws.
Yeah, but again, like we're seeing, like I mentioned earlier, it's the Fiora that's gonna be the name of the game for this iTamaraws squad, and we just saw Kaiser almost go down 1v1 to this Fiora. She's getting extremely strong. She already has the Blade of the Rune King now, and you're gonna have to start committing extra resources to address this Fiora. And when you do start committing those extra resources, the rest of the iTamaraws squad, they can take free objectives. You know, they can start that Baron, they can pressure the other side of the map. And we already see that now, you know, like now the Teletigers are unsure of what to do. Before they were confident grouping as 4, but now they kind of have to hover near that Fiora in order to dissuade her from just killing Camille 1v1 and taking that tower for free.
Right, and as they try to push it with a split under the bottom lane, they might try to start the Baron for this moment, and for seeking of this counter plays, what would be the best way of dealing this right now, Neep? And in terms of with the burst of damage from Ao, he's just literally playing or preying on Kaiser in the bot lane as they try to push it in, while others are trying to be busy in taking these objectives. One might end up in the full sleep mode as they try to wake this in the mid game, but for this moment they might try to secure different ways of having their items in a full possibility. Look at the item list right now from Kaiser, and as well as Shotty. Triforce is in, and as well as IE for Shotty also to get more of that additional burst to support Kaiser as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Teletigers, they're doing a pretty good job of staying relevant when it comes to the items. You know, like if we disregard the gold, and we just take a look at the items only, you know, they have the items to win those team fights. You know, it's not out of the question. And as we see that dragon spawn, and as we see the Baron still standing there, it's another opportunity to kind of use their team comp and get those big team fights. You know, both Baron laners now have their teleport up. Camille did not have that teleport earlier, but with both of them up, we should be seeing a slight advantage to the Teletigers, as I'd say the Camille is a bit more impactful when it comes to a full 5v5 clash.
Right, and if they get into the proper set, you need to look after Chaos and Kaiser setting that heat up in terms of having another set. But this time, you can also rely on Yato to have on a full splat in this engaging that final set that they can get from Teletigers. As they prey on this Ocean Drake, this will give him another attributes and as well as chances to buff up movements and as well as break them off defense as they try to wait on this as they set up Teletigers. This might be their chance of taking this objective and as well as having it countered. There are two objectives literally up for the taking. There's a Baron, there's a Drake. So probably they are seeing potential, but for this movement, they are trying to break down some defenses on the first towers in the mid lane.
Yeah, and we did see a lot of resources was burned, but here comes a teleport. There might be a huge fight coming in.
Ooh, they're trying to seal it. Oh, with the bounce there. Are they trying to knock this up? Hextech is out now. They're trying to steal it at the Catalyst. Oh, Glacial Fisher with a counter. Killing Spree goes in for Fiora there. Just trying to take more objectives. Oh, he's just going crazy with a full burst there. Bursted down. Out, taking it by the ouch with a revive. That's a GA pop. And they're trying to have another way of settling this. Teletigers is trying to get it with the trouble here. While the iTamaraws is putting up some horns of FEU represent. Trying to take this Drake for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, that Fiora is just built different at this point. She was basically 1v4ing the entire roster while they had to deal with that Jarvan going in. Let's take a look. We don't get to see Fiora on the screen, but just she's putting so much pressure on that backline. She killed the Corki by herself. She got Ziggs to half HP, and that really contributed to the iTamaraws just winning. So it's rough now. It actually is really rough. There's a 10,000 gold lead in favor of the iTamaraws. Fiora has a 5,000 gold lead herself. You know, like, think of that. 10,000 gold lead for the team, but 5,000 of that lead is just on the Fiora alone. You know, that's crazy to think about.
Right, and having the Grand Challenge stacked up with these items, you get a Triforce, you get Bork, and as well as GA for safety. She knew that she might be the first one to go, but Orphic is trying to get in for the slam. Chaos, no, trying to get back for the retreat as well as for the reinforcement. But for Ao here, he's trying to give some ouch and keep giving another scars for the squad of TGR, and as well as push. She will have they will probably have this advantage, and as well as the burst. They need to tame her down in some sort of point. Neep, somebody gets to have the answer for this and having her countered.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really hard because even if the Fiora isn't there, iTamaraws, they can just 4v4 and win this easily.
And again, Orphic is in with a follow-up again. Red team takes down another way of having this return trade of TGR. That's in for the final isolation battle damage, which sealed them the perfect opportunity to take their gold up. I think this might be the Baron take for this time. Nobody's contesting it. And as well as we have the squad of iTamaraws to get this Baron from themselves. So this is possibly a push while Fiora's trying to get busy in clearing those minion waves.
Yeah, and that's a free Baron for the iTamaraws, so all 5 of them have that Baron, and I think at this point, to be frank, It's just a matter of time before the iTamaraws start knocking on the doors of that Nexus. And for the Teletigers, it's the great thing about this format. It's about thinking, okay, what went wrong this game? What can we do better? And start preparing your draft mentally, you know, so that you're ready for the next set of games to come.
Right, it's all about the mindset on how to counter these squads as they remain strong. iTamaraws, Teletigers, go ahead and show some support for your school in our live chat to keep those comments alive and ready to support your squad. I really can imagine if this was a LAN party, Neep. I think this is a really great, big, crazy arena to cheer for these squads. And seeing this on a mobile setting, this is just too crazy to see the possibility of the outcomes of today's matches.
Yeah, definitely. And now we see the teams. They're just gonna. I'd imagine it'd be really hype. You know, that was a really close prediction match. You know, 53% to 47%. That's a pretty even distribution of fans across both teams, and it looks like it's gonna be iTamaraws just slowly pushing into this. They've adopted that 1-3-1 now. Already broke the mid inhibitor, and now they're gonna be looking for that bottom and top inhibitor as well.
Oh, they're trying to have this on a full speed this time. Ow is trying to get it with the dual Kaiser again at the top lane with the minions in, with the hand of Baron in the side of iTamaraws. It's horns, 2 horns having in this fight. And for the G8 that's popping in for the blue team has another take. But Owl is trapped inside the ultimatum. And while Kaiser is trying to be the duel, oh, it's going to be 3 against 1. Will he get it for the safety? Oh, with the response, the grand challenge is in. And Owl still remains alive. Wow, how can she live to see another day? iTamaraws still remains on what? He still remains strong from that, and for this, the base is getting too busy, being wrecked by iTamaraws. Up in for the horns. By take up the first game, you have iTamaraws for game 1, Neep.
Yeah, and I mean, very cleanly executed by the iTamaraws. They knew what they had to do with their draft, and they played it perfectly. They didn't commit early to those objectives. They allowed the Fiora to continue split pushing. They gave the Fiora space to do what Fiora does best. And that ultimately just led to that victory by the iTamaraws.
Right, it's just full amount of burst coming in from Fiora, and looking the possibility of Ow in the late game. Oh, it's gonna be a big owie for all of you guys in terms of having in the grand challenge. It's stacked up true damage, Neep, and with the possibility of that, we haven't might seen the first minutes of the game. And for these stats, what can you say about this in the possibility of making this to the next game, Neep?
So if you take a look at the scoreboard again, 8,000 gold lead between the Baron laners, and then because if we take a look at the rest of the map, the gold difference is very minimal. You know, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 2,000 again. Like those are minimal differences between the lanes. So it's about I'm expecting a Fiora ban, to be honest, from the Teletigers, because what's interesting about how the Teletigers drafted is that they banned Garen, you know, traditionally the best counter to Fiora, something that we see whenever someone takes that Fiora, you'll see a Garen immediately fall after. They banned it away, but they didn't take the Fiora themselves, you know, and this kind of just allowed Fiora to do her thing, you know, go wild. So it's a matter of adjusting that ban phase, you know. Are you still gonna ban Garen? Or are you gonna ban the Fiora outright, or are you gonna leave that Garen open and allow for that counter pick? Because we do have to realize that these teams are swapping sides now, so it's gonna be the Teletigers with the final say on as being the last pick, you know, being on that side.
Right, and I was hoping for Wukong to maybe counter Fiora in any way, or maybe for a pick of Darius or Malphite, you know. They might be another way to slow her down in terms of use of the burst skills that she has. And looking at this possibility, we need to have a different strategy on how to come up with another counter play for game 2. You need to get those points in, guys, as we set up the group stage this time for our week 1, and this won't be a thing without our sponsors. Trying to see it all with the bounce there. Are they trying to knock this off? Hextech is out now. They try to steal the catalyst. Oh, Glacial Fish with the cap. Forget Yato is there trying to wait in for the bouncer. There goes the knockoff, and they finally make it in the smoke. Oh, there's the catalyst. They're trying to break it down. UAC 2021 is powered by Globe Telecom as well. Yato is still alive, and they're trying to take it in with iTamaraws representing F fight. And for the G8 Riot Games and Twitch blue team has another take, but Owl is trapped inside the ultimatum, and while Kaiser is trying to do the duel. Oh, it's
again.
gonna be 3 against
This
1.
could
Will he
not
get it
be
for the safety?
possible
Oh, with the
without all of
response!
those
The grand challenge is in! And
Thank
he
you
still
once again.
remains
Check them out. And, we're now kind of in that waiting stage, waiting for that game 2. FIT, probably really happy of how things turned out. And as for UST, we just have to wait and see as to how they're going to adjust and adapt to the events that transpired over the previous game.
Correct. And it's all about bouncing back from the fall. It's not the end for Teletigers to rise up. You need to have that roar, man. Come on, you have to hear that scream coming in from inside of you guys, because it's not too late to have your first score in. With the challenges, there's only one to be in the zone and in the points of getting this in our first group stage. But guys, keep the support flowing, because we're still going in for the next game, which is the best of 2. The chances will come in, but you need to have another strategy to get to another big play against iTamaraws, which is one of the best games out here to be featured for Wild Rift.
Yeah, for sure, definitely that is the case. And I mean, I'm trying to think what other things we can see, what other adjustments that can be made for both of these teams. We'll see. I think we'll see the Fiora ban. I think that's something that might be a given. But maybe we'll see Diana. Maybe we'll see
Oh
some of
yes,
these
yes.
aggressive picks. Rengar and Kha'Zix, for the viewers out there, are unfortunately disabled this week.
Oh
Yeah, as well as Renekton. So don't expect any Renekton either this weekend. But I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see a Rengar or Kha'Zix. Maybe next week.
oh
We'll,
yes,
we'll get to see some of that. But
yes.
as for now, it's just sticking to the pool that already exists, I guess.
Right. And Renekton, Rengar, and Gauss, one of the classics champions in League of Legends. And knowing that these players has already showed up in the Wild Rift, competitive plays and metas might come out sooner than later. So since it's still banned automatically as a respect for tournaments such as this, Rengar and Kha'Zix, that's good. It's a good one. And right now, it's even have a battle for arch nemesis for Nasus and Renekton, right? Which a big event for these two nemesis to show up in the Wild Rift and especially in League of Legends, right, Neep?
Yeah, and actually seeing a Nemesis event within the
Yeah.
University Alliance Cup, that'd be pretty crazy to see. Some of those Nemesis bonuses are absolutely crazy. Like for Nasus, his Q becomes the AoE, so when he's using the Siphoning Strike, he can just like farm an entire wave with one Q.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty scary. But Nasus as a pick in general, I don't think we'll see him much. But I kind of want just one team to be like, oh, they picked the Renekton. Let's pick Nasus just for that event, to just make things interesting, to make things spicy.
Right. And seeing these squads to show up in our UAC and looking at this, ROG UAC, there's only
the response!
one to have in crowned champion for the taking of the title of champion and to call themselves the best in the country. It's 100,000 peso prize pool, Neep. And this is the challenge in competing to raise the campus torch. It's about representing your school and as well as the pride for your squad to battle in competitive scenes. But as of this, we would like to thank also our partners for getting our gear on, and of course for our partner Logitech G. If you're looking to supercharge your gaming setup so you can keep #keep playing, check out Logitech's amazing gaming gear at logitech.acadarena.com or type !Logitech G in the chat for a 175 discount for a minimum purchase of 1,750 on any Logitech G products.
Yeah, and there was a pretty crazy sale actually, like the other day during that
Yes.
5.5 Lazada sale. I was actually able to, the webcam you're seeing right now, I bought that using that Logitech promo, so I'm pretty happy with how things went, so do check them out, guys. They've got some pretty cool stuff. I'm a big fan.
Right, thank you so much, Logitech G. And of course, if you want to power your phone to keep your fingertips burning, no, keep it awesome with the lightning strike of your champions and heroes with Wild Rift. You have ASUS Republic of Gamers ROG Phone 5, powered by the reigning king of gaming of smartphones, powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 with 144 hertz of AMOLED display and a massive 6000 mAh battery. That's longer games, longer fun, especially now that everybody's staying in their homes. You can get your game on longer hours. So take your game experience to the next level. And for those, hashtag who dare.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I hope you have a good time right now as we wait for our current lineup for our next game. So keep your support flowing with your current hashtag in our Twitch channel. So be sure to keep it burning so you have your support from your school and your squad, because this time around it's the battle of UST and FEU to bring in and hold and raise the campus torch in the playoffs sooner in the next set of games.
Yeah, and while we're waiting, maybe we can switch the topic a bit and I guess talk about
Yes.
Wild Rift in general.
Oh,
How's your
go ahead.
experience been for Wild Rift? Like, have you been grinding ranked? How's that been going for you, OSX?
If you grind solo, it might come a different. It might be a different scene because you the matchmaking is not that unique yet. Since the game is still new, there's a lot of adjustments in the game, and as well as having yourself mixed in different regions, so you have that language barrier in the chat that can be a problem in terms of communicating on where you are in the map. So I think if you're gonna go play with Wild Rift, it's good to play it in trio, or maybe in a whole complete 5-man setup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've experienced that myself, especially being a support main. There's a lot of struggle in grinding as an individual, but I am a fan of how you can you can queue up as 3, queue up as 5,
Oh yes.
and really just get your friends on to help you play. But
Mm.
like my personal goal right now is to get to diamond. I'm currently still sitting at platinum, so maybe soon, I'll be able to reach that goal.
Oh
But
yes.
and speaking of ranks, like these players in the University Alliance Cup, like guys, these are actually don't just because they're students, they're not bad at the game. Like a lot of these guys are challenger, a lot of these guys are diamond, high diamond,
Mm-hmm.
sitting at master, grandmaster. So the level of competition that we are seeing is pretty high, and hopefully throughout the rest of the day, we continue to see that extremely high level of competition throughout.
Right.
And
And you know what, Neep? I know you've been in a competitive pro scene, right? So, in a challenger tier rank, what are the challenges in terms of having yourself queue in the rank games? I mean, it's difficult, right? The metas are different, the uses of champions are different. So, what was the unique way of having your perfect execution in terms of ranking up in that highest tier possible?
Right. So maybe I can give a POV coming in
Mm-hmm.
from a support player. A lot
Yeah.
of the time, the
Yeah.
amount of impact you have in the game is really dependent. You're not a Baron laner who can just
Mm-hmm.
be like Owl from FIT and just like split push all day as Fiora. You're really dependent on how the rest of your team performs. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like optimizing yourself. How do I, how do I prevent mistakes from happening on
Mm-hmm.
my end? And
Yeah.
how do I cover when my team makes mistakes? It's those small things that you kind of have to constantly do. You're playing a probability game basically.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of letting your teammates take the wheel, and you're just trying to hope that you're increasing your odds of winning to like 54% instead of 50% or something like that. And then as you play more games, as you continue to grind, that small 4% extra just adds up over time, and you end up in challenger. That's how
Oh.
I like to think of it. That's how I like to think of it.
Oh yes, I would like to have it on a setup that you can even reach challenge. It's the challenge is there, guys. I mean, it's not about getting the gameplay on kills. I believe it's all about the pushing, the strategy of taking down towers. Because at the end of the game, it's all about breaking down defenses and as well as the team to make the dream work, right? You know what I mean? You always need to get the teamwork, but in different setups, such as the matchmaking right now, it's a bit different. If you're going on solo, you get a chance you will end up with a good team, but you will have a chance you will end up in a challenging or a bad team. So I think it all depends on you on how to take the role. So if you're going in solo queue, Neep, what would you prefer on taking if you're gonna go solo ranked games?
As in a champion,
Yeah.
or
Would you go
uh,
for if ever you end up in another challenge, being in a bad team
I
as well or
mean,
challenging team?
Brom, like things that can utility supports are
Yeah.
surprisingly pretty good at helping you climb. So Brom, Janna,
Oh yes.
those sort of things. But it looks like we are finally in the draft, and it's gonna be the UST Teletigers now on the red
Oh
side,
yes.
with the iTamaraws on that blue side. So a bit of a swap there. And taking a look at the thing, how things are going, we do see a bit of an adjustment. Darius is still banned from that iTamaro side, but if we take a look at uh what has been banned away
Uh huh.
from the Teletigers, they are banning that Camille and they are banning that
Ooh.
Akali instead. So Garen not banned. So
Oh, it's
okay,
open.
okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
interesting decision to first
Okay.
pick the Garen, because there are a lot of other really strong champions that these teams can take. Diana, Gragas,
Right.
Ziggs is up. There's Kaisa is up, Braum is up. There's so many things that can be picked up by these teams,
Mm-hmm.
and with that, okay, so interesting decision to first pick Garen, but we do see the rest of the power picks being locked in. Gragas is now there, Ziggs is now there. With the Garen up, I don't think we'll be seeing a Fiora anytime
Right.
soon, but it is an option. It is something that they can do if they're feeling confident, but I don't think they will for now, and they'll be going for something else. So a, a Lulu lock in, okay.
Okay. For this interesting picks, for the side of the red team. Okay. So we have this is Stella Tigers, right? On the red side, this is Stella Tigers, and if for the other side we have iTamaraws for their first second band Camille and Akali. One of the S plus tier champions is out of the map, and as well as they don't want Galio in. They don't want that global response. I mean, Galio with a good setup is perfect combo in terms of initiating fights well.
Yeah.
And Darius for the burst, they don't want that in. And for the first five picks in the side of iTamaraws, you have Sai and Rakan, the couple, the power couple in the bot lane is going to show up this time for FIT, and as well as Ziggs. But for the priority pick of Ao as Garen, they have prioritized that in any other reason. Maybe it's their current use of unique metas of re-strategizing another play. But for the other side of UST, Kaiser for Gragas as well being maintained the pick, and as well as Vi for Chaos.
Yeah,
Neat.
yeah. So a bit of a visual bug for the
Mm-hmm.
pick coming in from the FIT iTamaraws. That
Mm-hmm.
is the Diana in the
Oh.
mid lane. So
Mm-hmm.
they were able to get that really uh strong team fighting comp with the Diana and Gragas. I'm personally a really big fan
Mm-hmm.
of those champions in combination with one another, and this is gonna be a bit different from the Gragas that we saw in the previous game. The Gragas is in the Baron lane, so what this does mean is he's probably going to be going for that Sunfire build into
Oh,
the
probably.
Frozen Gauntlet,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be playing more of a in-your-face tank role rather than that assassin that we saw from Yato in Game 1.
Right, and he might be the second shield in the side, which Kaiser is doing for USD Teletigers. For Diana, they wanna go for a stronger response, and in terms of with the composition of Vian as well as Diana from mid to jungle, I think they might go for an early advantage of taking early ganks with their use of their ultimates. I mean, Diana, if I will get the chance to use her, I would probably abuse her dash and the setup of her passive, because with the combination with the assault and battery, you get to see a different power play, because you won't get even you can even get confident in having Lulu on your side in terms of ganking, because you will have that massive amount of attributes with her ultimate.
Yeah, that is true. So the Lulu does kind of supplement the initiate that can be done by the Vi, by the Diana,
Yes.
by the Gragas, and even by the Tristana. If the
Mm.
Tristana decides to go in for a Suicide Squad mission, jumping in as the Dragon Laner, but it'll be interesting to see. Like Lulu used to be one of the best supports in Wild Rift
Oh yes.
back in patch 2.1, that sort of era of things, but since then she's been nerfed quite a bit. The ranges on her skills are quite low now, so she really has to be in the fray of things to use that ultimate, use that shield. And this is an opportunity for the champs that iTamaraws have, such as the Garen, such as the Wukong, even the Rakan, to kind of swoop in and do that team fight. And taking a look at the team fights in team compositions in general, both
Mm-hmm.
of these teams have adopted a much more team fight centric comp for both sides. So we're going to be seeing the team fighting coming in for both FIT, for both Teletigers. So expect no objective handshakes in the early game. I'm expecting both of these teams to immediately fight at that 4 minute Baron, 4 minute Dragon fight, and then immediately fight once again for that 6 minute. So it's going to be a very interesting early game.
Right. Timing and compositions is still gonna boil up on these squads on how to show off their few tricks on their sleeve to get into the second game. But before this, big shout out to our partners and sponsors, ROG Phone 5, for making this also awesome, and presented to you by the ASUS of the Republic of Gamers, Logitech G, and of course our official telco sponsor, Globe Telecom. So if you want to bring esports to your school, go ahead and check out AcadArena.com/alliance and have yourself in the immersive and competitive scene in esports. So we are now in the game this time, Neep. And in the overall score, we have iTamaraws taking the first score, and this is Teletigers to show off that roar to take in for their first score in.
Yeah, and it's already 1:30, so it is gonna be the Rift Herald contest. We do see Vi. She
Ooh.
tried to go for that Rift Herald early, but not the rest of the team didn't have priority. And now this might just be a free Rift Herald. For
Oh, an
FI.
engage!
Ooh.
Battle of España still engaged with the silence in chaos. Not getting anything up. Orphic, on the other hand, is still going to flash out with that mirror. And for this sizzled early game objectives of these squads, they're trying to set up some beefed a beefed up match to have their first score in. But iTamaraws and Teletigers, while they set it for their few of their objectives, they might try to weigh things around this time with their second chance. Don't you think, Neep?
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually a really huge exchange for the Teletigers. The Vi was able to get both Rift Scuttlers, so that's gonna put her extremely ahead of this Wukong. If you take a look at Wukong, he's still level 3. He's dying to the blue buff, whereas Vi's already level 5. That's
Oh,
actually a huge difference in XP. And
Right.
with that, Vi can have that early gank, and Vi will have that stronger smite coming into this dragon fight. The double Rift Herald the double Rift Scuttler going to the Teletigers side is great news for the Teletigers, and this might be what the Teletigers need to go for that 1-1 and tie things up.
Oh, another tiebreaker match to heat up to represent FEU and UST this time, but for the quickness and dash and entrance, while Senior, how do you pronounce this if I pronounce it properly, and Niel for the lovers in the bot lane. And it's quite interesting to see this couple in the bot lane in our tournaments of today. It's rare to see them. Either one shows up on or the either, but for the matches, this is quite interesting as it is. But for the priority picks, they might show aggression on the early game, and if you want to take them down, as you've mentioned, that there's already split or a level gap in the side of Wukong and Diana, they might probably want to have a fast-paced setup this time to keep up. But for the objective to show in just 20 seconds remaining for the first Ocean Drake, they might try to contest this in as well. But for the dash and the assault and battery chaos for that, Iato takes the hit, but not going to be enough to make the Bombardier out of the map. Still gonna be sizzle, but gonna get in for a relaxation mode for that first encounter.
Yeah, and this does mean that the Teletigers now have a bit of priority over the Dragon, but they're gonna opt instead to reset. It is 4 minutes. They are getting pretty close to their first items. We do see that the Ziggs was actually the one who came out on top, and Diana. So Ziggs and Diana do have a complete item coming into this fight. This is gonna be the 5v5 we talked about. And
It's here.
it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close. They're trying to set it up. Bombs being set up. Oh, you have the cast ready. Is somebody gonna explode? Is somebody gonna splash out while they're trying Lazuli in? Oh, silence in out from the sword. The battle continues to rage in, but they're trying to have it on one big jump out knockout party there inside the dragon pit while they try to take it out. It's blue. It's blue right now. Right, Tamaraws taking that. Another sweep of kill by taking that objective. Another trouble this time for that.
Yeah, and that was an ace at 4 minutes. Let's take a look at exactly what happened. The Teletigers, their engage was split up. They weren't able to go in all at the same time, and it was just a matter of the iTamaraws just staying in the pit, kind of throwing out their skills. Garen being a really good frontline Wukong, kind of zoning the rest of the team as well with his ultimate, the Cyclone, and the Rakan as well, you know, continuing to apply that CC. And that just, it was like, what's the best way to put it, you know, the Teletigers kind of walking into a bunch of spikes and just trying to still cross even though they're stepping on spikes. That's kind of what happened there, and that's a huge early ace for the iTamaraws, as that puts them at a 3,000 gold lead, only
Right.
5 minutes into the game, and this Rift Herald is about to spawn very shortly as well.
It's too early, Neep. I mean, looking at this possibility and chance, and they knew that it was already a trap. They might, for that moment, they might try to think of a second way, but it was too late to react. And for that, there was literally a knockout party having in for the first ace in just 5 minutes, and it's too crucial. And for that, they need to have more objectives to have it counter with their gold advance. With ranging now for almost 3,000 gold lead, they might prey on this herald and might as well take some minion waves to get their items locked in. But for this, we have Senior, and as well as Chaos trying to sneak in. But you have already Guardian Angel for the priority item of Chaos, which makes her another essential in terms of engaging fights. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree for sure. That is going to be pretty important, but it looks like it didn't really matter, as this was a free objective for the iTamaraws, and another engage in that mid lane. That's going to be the Guardian Angel already being popped, so that seems like a
Speaking
bit
of which, we were talking about that earlier, and she knew that she's gonna be the first one to go. You take a Rift Herald, yeah, we'll take you. Oh, you forget another part. I still have a second life to be revived in, but that was totally advanced thinking of these guys. And probably to settle the score, they need to keep defending and as well as take some more kills. It's 5-1 Neep. And what's the possibility if they push through for a funnel strategy?
And I mean, they're pushing right now, you know. Take a look at the mid lane. The Rift Herald has been popped. That is a Ziggs, and that is a very aggressive push, and they will get that mid lane turret. The rest of the map will be freed up. And overall, well played by the iTamaraws. They got that Rift Herald for free. They burned the Vi's Summoners and burned the Guardian Angel for free, and they got another turret out of it. But if we take a look at the Teletiger side, Tristana was able to get that bottom lane turret, so it wasn't all, you know, just a freebie for the iTamaraws. But at this point, you know, the ball is still in the iTamaraws' court. They're the ones taking it up, and they're the ones applying that pressure to this Teletigers team.
Oh, seeing at this possibility, the Tigers might secure this and having it played safely. You still have the towers, you can use it still as an advantage, because if you let this in, you know, there's a difference of playing it safe or playing it safely by taking different kills. If you stay safe for a period of time without any ganks or kills, it's still a big trouble for you. But if you can move it for isolation, that you can totally express on how to take down kills on the other team, you can get an advantage as well for the first early ace. But for now, they're trying to brew it in early in. Kaiser's being knocked back up, but not getting the backlines there. We have the Dragon reviving in the pit. Oh, this is one big party again to rise up, Neep. I am starting to feel on who's gonna take this Drake for the second time around.
Yeah, and the Tristana is, so Teletigers is sending the Tristana top lane. They're probably saying, okay, we can't really do anything about this dragon anymore, so let's just take the free turret from this. You know, let's try to keep the gold, you know, even though stat wise we are conceding things. And it looks like, will they be able to get something from this? The engage going down, but yeah, that's gonna be the disengage from the Teletigers. So nothing really coming out of that yet.
Yeah, they're trying to zone it in by ASUS, trying to maybe spin it away and have it on the silence. Oh, with an explosive gas, perfect execution there. Quickness with the follow-up, but it has in, going to get in for the zone of safety. But for the take of these items and as well as the objectives, that is the tower going to be broken down in the bottom lane, Neep.
Yeah, for sure, and that's gonna be again another tower. So they did trade towers, so it was a 1-for-1. Tristana got the top tower. iTamaraws were able to get the bottom tower, but the iTamaraws did edge out a bit by being able to take that Cloud Dragon as well. That's going to give them a bit more mobility, faster movement across the map, and this should be pretty important as we reach the stage of the game where all of the outer towers are essentially gone, and a lot of how the game is won is how you move around this map at this point in time.
Right, and as they tried to seek another possibility of taking the dragon, they were totally zoned out, and they're trying to be diverted out of the way while they secure it on purpose. But Ao, on the other hand, he was on, going in solo with ignited health, and the last hit goes in for Shotty to get that kill. He was totally isolated, and that was literally true damage in taking that kill.
And that's the thing you kind of need when you're behind, when you're playing from behind. You have to go for those picks. You have to be aggressive about it. And here comes another opportunity. Teleport being used by the Gragas. Are they going to be able to get something from this?
Oh, this one for that TP, and I mean, I'm sensing and trying to brew things up, but Chaos taken for another damage there while they try to back it out. He has GA ready to be popped if ever he gets in for the gank, but as well as for a treat, nobody's taking that objective, but as well as trying to secure it. But if they try to get that with another engage, Gragas was totally on point with that TP, and they might secure another kill, but for this, they want to play it safety, but we have now member Niel on the borrowed moment while ignited on health, but you still have Senior is still on the safe zone. But this, we still have Ao on the other hand trying to do it with Kaiser. They still have this beefed up rivalry since the first game. But we're trying to back it out is Kaiser trying to spam around Ao while he's trying to clear up some waves.
Yeah, and that's gonna be Kaiser. Pretty tanky at this point. Has the Force of Nature, has that Sunfire Cave, so there's not really much you can do to him, you know. And then the Kaiser as well. You know, Kaiser and Garen, it's just gonna be a wet noodle fight when they fight in that side lane 1v1. But is that the Baron being so some wards being cleared out by the iTamaraws, trying to look to establish more control over the map, as they are still in that driver's seat. They are still sitting at that 4,000 gold lead, but it's not yet over for the Teletigers. They have that Tristana who is ramping up with those items. Already has that Infinity Edge, already has that Static Shiv. So, you know, just need to keep the Tristana alive, apply pressure, get those great engages with the Gragas, with the Vi, with the Diana, and I think they'll still be in good shape to potentially win this game.
Oh, looking at the control possibility in the side of Teletigers. So you have Shoddy, you also have Gragas. The knockback, and the control, it's always there. And you can still have a counterplay if ever they engage it with another set from iTamaraws. If you can see the possibility here, Neep, they might probably take objectives, but they try to play it safety, knockbacks, and as well as crowd controls might happen. But we're seeing now you have Shotty just trying to regain up some gold, and for this, their iTamaraws still remains in advance with 4,000 gold lead. And look at the items. Where is this heading in terms of this mid game, Neep?
Yeah, so in terms of the mid game, still I'd say in favor of the iTamaraws, so long as they're not the ones getting caught out. We do see already a small skirmish popping out. It's gonna be a huge fight.
Oh, right, they're in the ground entrance for that quickness, but now they're staying in for the backlines. We're trying to maintain this here. Reviving inside the Dragon Pit. Owl's still alive. You're not gonna get in for my radar this time, but for our hitter, Niel still getting for the killing spree. The couple of iTamaraws still remains with the highest number of kills this time with the 47 gold key lead.
And let's take a look at the replay once again. It started off with the play by the Wukong, followed up by the Rakan, and the rest of the team was just able to kind of apply their pressure. They almost killed the Xayah, which would have been huge, but the Xayah just a bit too difficult to kill with that ultimate, with that barrier, and with that flash. And now this is going to be a transition into the Baron for the iTamaraws, putting the gold lead at 7,000. They've got the dragon as well. They've secured all 3 dragons, and now things are looking a lot more dire for this Teletiger squad.
Oh, as they see this status of the game, you have the Hand of Baron, you need to burn it out, you need to have at least a stronger strategy to have it holded in 2 minutes. With the buffed up waves to clear out and as well taking down towers in this point of time, they might probably disengage in terms of clash fights because they might probably get it for a wipe. But as this time we have Orphic trying to get a pick on one more member from Teletigers here, being again for the support, and with the advanced knockback up, you're not getting in for my friends here as they try to have it with the secure of that one. There's a revive from the Guardian Angel while trying to secure with the fight here. We have another team from iTamaraws trying to secure this in, but for that they are now still on the killing spree. You have Shotty, they're trying to final out to Shotty to have their last line of damage for our late game possibility need.
Yeah, and even though they lost 2 members, it's still the iTamaraws that are going on the aggressive. They're gonna get this inhibitor in the bot lane. Almost killed the Vi, and we
Ooh.
do see Ao. He's now pushing the top lane. This might just be the end of the game right now.
Oh,
As
this
that
is too
3
soon.
members. Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
This time around, you have now your chance in doing this. This is a 2-0, and you have it. This time in the Republic of Gamers University Alliance Cup, iTamaraws takes it for the second score of our first match of the day.
Yeah, so well played to the iTamaraws in this game. They played pretty cleanly. I don't think there was many mistakes coming in from the team. And if we take a look at like that kill contribution across the board, you know, the Wukong, the Wukong, Ziggs, Saya, Rakan, they all have 9 to 10 overall kills contributed, which means they were doing a great job playing as a team. You know, and while the Tristana was fed, it just wasn't really enough for the Teletigers to stay in the game and stay relevant, as they weren't really able to make use of that team composition with the Diana, with the Vi, with the Gragas. A lot of those team fights were kind of disjunct, and they weren't really able to get the fights that they wanted. And with that, that's gonna put the iTamaraws actually at a 2-0. That's gonna give them 3 points in the lead, and that's gonna set them now in a great position to as the start of the opening of the ROG University Alliance Cup.
Oh yes, and guys, thank you so much for being with us in the chat to have your support in for your school. The University Alliance Cup wouldn't be a thing without our amazing sponsors, partners in the UAC 2021. It's powered by Globe Telecom, our official telco sponsor, ASUS ROG Phone 5, Logitech G, Riot Games, Twitch Student, our official platform partner. So guys, if you want to have yourselves immersed in a different scenario in campus esports, Neep has another way of showing you getting into the alliance.
Yeah, so one more way, guys. If you want to bring esports to your school, the AcadArena Alliance program is here for you. Alliance member clubs get access to our exclusive tournaments, such as the University Alliance Cup, mentorships, event support, and of course, the Globe Esports Merit Scholarship. So learn more on how to join the Alliance today at acadarena.com/alliance, guys.
Right, guys, keep your support flowing for your campus because our games doesn't end here. This is just the week 1, day 1 of our group stage, because it's gonna still be another heated up action as you witness and see. All of these squads are gonna show off some potential, show off some skills to have themselves and being the right to call champion, as well as to raise the campus torch. So while we wait for our second match, we thank you for your time, for being with us, but don't go anywhere because we will be back after a short break to keep the games flowing with our ROG University Alliance Cup. I'm OSX, and Neep will be back shortly.
Why don't you watch me do my thing? Reinvent the world, yeah. She's to be more, she's to be better, she's to evolve, she's to be more, she's to be better, she's to evolve, she's to evolve. Every time the world spins round, reinvent 360. Thinking you gon' miss a good thing, yeah. Show the whole world, reinvent, nobody knows it. It's your you watch me do my thing.
Take it to the next level with Globe's fiber, LTE advanced, and 5G mobile connection. Now you have the power to reinvent your world. Globe.